Part 1. Establishing the ground. Wisdom springs from meditation. Without meditation, wisdom declines. From Dhammapada 282. Tuning into peace. Meditation can be a very deep inquiry into the mind. It can be undertaken in intensive retreats, wherein subtle features of the way the mind works and levels of mind that don't normally get accessed can come to light. However, meditation is also something that we can practice in a lunch break or when returning home from work, as a skillful means to regain balance and to stay centered in daily life. What follows is an introduction with which to get started. Sit still in a quiet and settled place in a way that feels comfortable. Relax your eyes, but let them stay open or half open with a relaxed gaze. Be aware of the sensation of your eyeballs resting in the eye sockets rather than focusing on what you see. Be sensitive to the tendency for the eyes to fidget and keep relaxing that. As an alternative, you may find it helpful to let your gaze rest in a relaxed way on a suitable object, such as a view into the distance. Then bring your attention to the sensations of your hands, then your jaw and tongue. See if they too can take a break from being on guard. Let your tongue rest in the flow of your mouth. Then sweep that relaxing attention from the corners of the eyes and around the head as you were unfastening a headscarf. Let the scalp feel free. Let your eyes close now. As you relax all around your head and face, bring that quality of attention slowly, gradually, down over your throat. Loosen up there, as if allowing each out-breath to sound an inaudible drone. Keeping in touch with these places in your body, be aware of the flow of thoughts and emotions that pass through the mind. Listen to them as if you are listening to flowing water or the sea. If you find yourself reacting to them, bring your attention to the next out-breath, continuing to relax through the eyes, the throat, and the hands. If you feel like extending this, sweep that attention down your body to the soles of your feet. In this way, build up a whole sense of the body at ease, while maintaining awareness of overall presence of your body. Practice stepping back from or letting go of any thoughts and emotions that arise. Don't add to them. Just let them pass. Whenever you do that, notice the sense of spaciousness, however brief, that seem to be there, behind the thoughts and feelings. Attune to that peacefulness of that. Feel the peaceful quality of the spaciousness and take it on. Take a few long, slow out-breaths, sensing your breath flowing out into the space around you. Let the in-breath begin by itself. Sense how the in-breath draws from the space around you. Attune to the rhythm of that process. You can support this reference to the breathing process by asking, "How is my breathing now?" It's also useful to think slowly and carefully in ways that calm or gladden the heart. Bring to mind any instances of people's actions that have touched you in a positive way, in terms of kindness, or patience, or understanding. Repeatedly touch the heart with a few specific instances, dwelling on the feeling that it evokes. Stay with the most deeply felt recollection for a minute or two with a sense of curiosity. How is this affecting me? Sense any effect in terms of heart. There may be a quality of uplift, or of calming, or of firmness. You may even detect a shift in your overall body tone. Allow yourself all the time in the world to be here with no particular purpose other than to feel how you are in this way. Dwell upon and expand awareness of any sense of vitality, stillness, comfort, or spaciousness. When it's time to conclude the meditation, keep attuned in a peaceful way. First, feel how you are in bodily terms. Then, notice what inclinations and attitudes seem natural and important when you are dwelling in your place of value. Then, bring those to your daily life situations by asking, what is important to me now? What matters most? After asking those questions, then give yourself time to let the priorities of action establish themselves in accordance with that. Difficulties. If you cannot check distracting thoughts, or if you feel bothered by what's going on around you, you may benefit from finding a more conducive setting for meditation. Somewhere that gives you a supportive mood. It could be somewhere in nature, a quiet corner of your room, or a meeting place with like-minded friends. Keeping your eyes open will help to keep your mind from getting engrossed in thought. It's also good to precede a meditation period, which may be of 15 to 20 minutes, with relaxing and refreshing yourself with bathing and gentle exercise. Meditation and being at peace with ourselves is more fulfilling when we integrate it with how we live. That is, acknowledging the effects of harmful speech, we learn to be more careful, putting aside drink or drugs, and limiting how much time gets spent working and living at high speed leads to more balanced energies in the body and mind. But because everything we do has its effects, it's also the case that if we have friends who bring warmth and joy into the heart, as if we have no regrets and can feel content with how we are living, then the mind is going to feel a lot brighter and steadier. If this form doesn't help you, you may benefit from exercises like Hatha Yoga or Qigong. Further, to add to the sense of tuning in, use some sound. Begin with breathing out with your larynx, open to make a sound something between a drone and a sigh. Listen to the sound and to the mood that it invokes. Tune into that, amplifying it, and adjusting it with each long out breath to make a sound that sounds like it's coming from an emotive place within you. Don't try to make it beautiful or operatic. The aim is to listen to the mood, not to make much out of the note. As you do this, let your attention rest for several minutes in the following places: the lower abdomen, the center of the chest, the throat, and the forehead above and between the eyes. Gradually decrease the intensity and volume of the sound and listen to these places in your body. Theory Embodiment. Quote, just as someone who mentally encompasses the great ocean will include in that all the rivers that run into the ocean, so whoever develops mindfulness directed to the body will include in that all the skillful states that support supreme understanding. Anguttara Nikaya 1.11. End of quotation. We can sit, stand, walk, or even lie down to meditate. Meditation centers on mindfulness, the views and efforts that support it, and the skills and deepening that it allows. Mindfulness is a form of concentration, whereby one's attention is sustained on an object, such as breathing, or in terms of a theme, such as kindness. It's the ability to bear a certain object or theme in mind. In the practice of meditation, mindfulness is generally trained and straightened and strengthened by sustaining it with regards to 4 foundations or bases, which are the body, the feeling, that is, physical or mental pain or pleasure, of mental states, that is, such as anger or joy, and lastly, the 4th one, mental processes, such as an evolved pattern of ill will, or on the other hand, of mindfulness. But this doesn't mean that you have to keep shifting your attention from this base to that. You can be mindful of all 4 of these while being focused on bodily experience, notably on mindfulness of breathing. This is because our consciousness is holistic. Where you focus on the body, mind, and feelings will be there. It's more a matter of which window you choose to look in through. When our looking is accompanied by mindfulness, we notice moods, motivations, and energies that may normally escape our attention. This is valuable because it is in the underlying strata of the mind that a lot of our strengths and beauty, as well as our negative tendencies, lie. To penetrate beneath the surface of mental activity takes practice and persistent effort. For a start, it means determining to put aside other topics for the period of the meditation. It also means not getting caught up in feelings and mind states that arise as one meditates. Almost certainly, one will remember various things one had to do, or drift off into speculation or fantasies about the future or the past. This is captivating, but, in terms of meditation at least, a distraction. In meditation, we are looking to get behind this surface spin in order to steady the mind and deepen understanding. However, even when we know this, the mind can still slip away at the speed of a thought and without giving a moment's notice. This means that we have to choose something useful to bear in mind and to put some effort into staying with it in order to keep to the fore an object or theme that supports clear, empathic, or stabilizing states of mind. One of the fundamental ways of bringing the mind into the present moment is to focus on how we sense our own body. This bodily sense, that is, awareness of the sensations and energies that manifest in the body, is something immediate that we can contemplate. It gives us ground and balance. It gives us the sense of being where we are. Although this may seem basic and obvious, much of the time we are not grounded in where we really are. Instead, we are out there in a world of changing circumstance and reactions to that without having a central reference. Using mindfulness of the body as a centering reference is a good all-round standard for anyone. It's solid and obvious, and not only does embodiment provide us with a reliable place to be, but it is the source of the facts that govern our life: pleasure and pain, sensitivity and vulnerability, and the rhythms of nature that make us hungry and tired. The heart is affected and the mind creates its basic strategies in relationship to these rhythms of nature. So we get to the source of much behavior and instinct when we are mindful of the body. Furthermore, the Buddha's instructions on mindfulness emphasize that we should directly know the body in the body, that is, in its own terms, not in terms of our attitudes or phobias about it. This instruction is repeated in terms of the other three foundations as well, which we shall explore in due course. So this affects the way the mind operates by cutting off its commentaries, fantasies, and proliferating tendencies. One result of mindfulness is calm. The body carries and can be relieved from the circumstantial stresses and tensions of daily life. If the body feels relaxed and bright, then the mind and heart settle readily. If it's numb, slack, or tense, it is difficult to find the energy that is needed for meditation. Conversely, when we find a balanced bodily state and meditate on that, energy is restored to the whole system, and we can feel positive and enriched. If attention can be gathered into this bodily sense, it is withheld from preparing for the variables of the future and the past, juggling duties and inclinations, or being gripped with concerns over oneself and others. This withholding allows attention to settle into a more peaceful balance in the present. Good posture plays a big part in that process because it gives the mind something to apply itself to and develop skills around. It also puts the body into a position where its energies tend to circulate in a bright and calm way. The good of good posture is not about an outward appearance. It's that which remedies stagnation or tension. However, the balanced alertness of good posture doesn't come around through bodily effort alone. It is a matter of settling the body into a balance with a steady and sensitive attitude. The patience and care with which we develop good posture is a development for the mind in its own right. Rather than forcing ourselves to sit up straight, we are learning to massage give and relax our attention to attune to a poised alertness. A moment by moment application is needed. This is done through a bringing to mind or conceiving, in Pali vitakka, of the meditation topic. This generally entails a degree of thought, or at least of thoughtfulness. Bringing to mind is backed up by evaluation, or in Pali called vichara, which is the thoughtful listening to, resonating with, and assessment of what has been brought to mind. Vitakka points and vichara handles and gets a sense of what is being pointed to. The first is like picking up an apple. The second is admiring it, turning it around, and appreciating it. When these are in place, what arises is a quality of awareness that is clear, stable, and receptive. Mindfulness and clear comprehension. The right kind of effort for bearing something in mind is the persistent and calm attention that focuses and keeps returning to the chosen object. With this understanding, we learn to moderate between massive efforts of will, which may have short-term benefits but unsustainable in the long run, and a gentler and encouraging persistence, which sometimes need to be fired up to deal with tenacious mental habits. Through this, we encourage many skillful mental states, including factors of awakening, including factors of investigation, of effort, and of inner peace. Much of awakening can be summarized as the development of this fourth base of mindfulness. With this, we cultivate an astute and beneficial way of relating to the body, feelings, and mind states. As we previously mentioned, mindfulness of the body supports a clear mind and vice versa. The practice has a balanced tone. This tonality unifies all Buddhist civilization, which includes ethical standards and compassion, as well as calm and wisdom. All of these take wholesomeness and inner well-being as their keynote and develop it along particular lines. This cultivation shows us that our richest potential arises in accordance with inclinations such as kindness, patience, and clear attention. As if we know how to access this potential in our own hearts, then we can act, speak, and meditate in ways that bring greater clarity and well-being into our lives. In ourselves, we can realize the essence of the Buddha's awakening. Sitting meditation. Sit on the floor with legs crossed, or in a straight backed or backless chair, so that the posture is steady and the spine is upright. Whether you sit in a chair or sit on the floor with legs crossed is less significant than attending to the upright spinal axis. If the spine is stressed by having the shoulders leaning on it, or the head is hunched forward, or the lower back bent out, it is impossible for it to fully support the body. To sit in upright posture and fully sense the body brings energy into the mind. Good posture is therefore an important basis for meditation. Aligning body structure. If you are using a chair, take care to keep the soles of both feet placed flat on the floor. Rest the thighs on the seat of the chair and refrain from leaning back. Keep your legs apart to allow the base of the body to rest firmly on the surface of the chair. If You are sitting on the floor, on the other hand. Sit cross-legged with one foot resting on top of the opposite thigh, with the other foot tucked under its opposite thigh, which is called the half lotus. Or rest both feet on the opposite thighs, which is called full lotus. If your flexibility isn't up to all that, never mind. Use any cross-legged position, or even sit on your haunches with your legs going forward as your calves folded under your thighs. The important thing is to feel steady and be upright in a manageable way. In any case, sit so that the small of the back is slightly concave, with the lower abdomen perpendicular. This should balance your pelvis on two bony structures at its base, called sitting bones. You can locate them where the underthigh of each leg swells into each buttock. So, if you're sitting in one of those lotus postures, you may need to use a small firm cushion or pad wedged under your tailbone to support the balance on these sitting bones. With these, you just use the edge of the cushion to check the backward tilt of the pelvis. Then the weight of the body is transferred down through the broad base of the lower pelvis and the upper thighs. Draw the lower edges of the shoulder blades in to counteract the tendency to hunch. Then the chest will open and the shoulders relax. At first, this will seem like you are pulling a point between the lower tips of the shoulder blades in towards your chest. Then it becomes more like an inclination for the part of the spine to meet the heart. Eventually, it just feels natural. In this posture, the breathing is deep, steady, and clearly discernible. This carriage of the chest and shoulders will tend to align the neck with the rest of the spine. The neck is a continuation of the spine. It belongs to the back rather than the head. Counteract the tendency for the head to capture the neck and pull it forward by first relaxing the jaw, and then drawing the head back so that the skull and the neck are in alignment with the back. The chin will tuck in towards the throat. All of these frees the body from the habitual locks that bad posture introduces. Breathe slowly and fully, and attune to the effects in terms of the chest and abdomen. These should move when you breathe. The abdomen goes in and out. The chest rises and expands sideways, slightly. If this doesn't happen, the posture is still locked somewhere. Let the palms of your hands rest on the legs just above the knees or at the mid-thigh. Feel out any tension in the arms and hands and steadily drain that down from the shoulders through the arms and legs into the ground. Let the weight of the body descend evenly down through the pelvic region, taking care not to draw the arms in too close to the chest. The hands may turn so that the backs of one set of fingers rest in the palm and fingers of the other hand. You can also remain in the previous posture if you wish. Sweeping the body. When the posture is established, it's good to keep sweeping your attention over the body. In this way, both supervise the posture. It's easy for it to slip out of balance, and deepen overall awareness of the posture. You can do this by focusing on the overall sense of the body and then tuning in to any places that feel tight or have drifted out of awareness. At a later stage, When the posture feels more assured, you can do more methodical point at a time sweep from your head down and gradually over your entire body. This methodical sweep can take up to an hour or even more. Another benefit from body sweeping is that it trains the mind to be attentive, strengthens mindfulness by bearing details of bodily experience in mind, and enhances an attitude of gentle, undemanding attention to the body. The tools for mindfulness and gentleness are the mental acts of being, bringing to mind and evaluating. Vitakka or vichara in Pali terms. Bringing to mind is like asking, how do I know I have a left hand right now? Or, where is my neck? Evaluating is like asking, how do I feel? What is happening there? What attitude is occurring towards that part of the body? This checking in terms of bringing to mind and evaluating, can reveal attitudes of forcefulness or indifference and replace them with mindfulness and care. First, attend to the overall feel of the posture. We can overdo the vigor and underestimate sensitivity. A common error in this respect is to pull the lumbar spine in and pushing the buttocks out. This creates a sense of strength, but overexerts the lower back muscles. Or we may try to hold ourselves upright with the shoulders, overexerting the upper back. Both of these will cause stress. Rather than use one part of the back to hold everything, attend to the whole upright carriage, specifically that the pelvis is balanced on the sitting bones, the sacrum is upright, the spine between the shoulders is concave, and the head is balanced on the upright neck. Give yourself the allowance to move a little, wriggling and adjusting the posture to get the body to feel and find its balance. Keep giving attention to the specific points in the body as well as overall effects in terms of body and mind. Give yourself time to settle. The head and neck can carry a lot of tension. So in settling into the body, our initial aim is to undo this. Tension blocks sensitivity and naturally leads to rigidity and dullness of the mind. Loosen the head on the neck by relaxing the jaw and imagining the skull can float upwards. Imagine plenty of space between the chin and the chest, so that although the chin is tilted slightly downwards, it doesn't shield the throat. Relax the tongue in the flow of the mouth. Even an unconscious pushing up with the back of the tongue will send a charge of tension into the occiput. Then relax the tissues around the eyeballs and keeping the eyes open, soften the gaze as if, for example, you were looking over the ocean or into the sky. All this should soften the forehead and temples. Bring attention to these points next. And if they feel tight, massage them by repeatedly smoothing attention from the center of each area to its periphery. You could widen and extend the sweep over the whole of the head and even down the body. Tension around the eyes support the conditions, mental agitation, even if the eyes are closed. So start with keeping your eyes open, facing some quiet space, in order to support alertness and to relax the agitated or tight gaze. This will help you to find balance between over-relaxation, drifting, and over-exertion and intensity. Widening and softening the focus will calm down mental activity. Narrowing or sharpening will heighten discernment. The idea is a balance, but a mind that receives the effects of a high-impact lifestyle will probably benefit from softening and widening its span of attention. Relax a little. Be more spacious. The sweeping technique can be used over the whole body to counteract numbness or inadequacy in receptiveness. Draw attention from any place in the body near to the numb place, where tension is clearly perceived. Reach into the numbness and acknowledge any sensations, energies, or moods that may arise. Don't try to obtain a particular sensation. Instead, allow awareness to uncover more subtly felt sensations. As you settle into feeling balanced in your body, center your attention on the rhythmic sensations of in and out breathing. Practice like this for half an hour, and when it's time to conclude, do so carefully. First, draw your attention back to the spinal axis, feeling that unbroken line from the seat up through the crown of the head. Then, widen your attention to include the whole mass of the body, resting on awareness of the skin and the tingling edge of the body, with the acknowledgement that that edge at this time everything is spacious and non-intrusive. Appreciate the sense of the space around you and open into that by listening to what is around you without engaging with it or thinking about it. Finally, after a couple of minutes, let your eyelids open and spend a few moments allowing light and visual form to enter your awareness without engaging with them. Difficulties. Physical pain. The first obvious difficulty may be physical discomfort and pain. Bring mindfulness and clear comprehension onto the painful part and check any reactions. Is there a tension there or an imbalance that can be adjusted? Can another part of the body be adjusted to relieve that? Sometimes it's a matter of bringing another part of the body into balance. For example, brightening the chest and relaxing the shoulders can take pressure off the lower back. Widen the body against the tendency to tighten up. Try moving slightly and slowly to detect where the unpleasant sensation finds an opening for relief. Use the spine as a reference. Lengthen and flex it slightly, keeping the rest of the body relaxed. Things may move into a new balance. Pain felt in the region of the knees is most likely to be transference of inflexibility in the hips and upper thighs. The long-term remedy is to do stretching exercises around the hip joints. The short term is to adjust the posture or prop a cushion under the sore knee. If there are pain is not too intense, if the pain is not too intense, the tissues in the hips and thighs may stretch of their own accord in time. The pass mark for bearing with pain is that it should not cause tension to spread through the body, nor lead to rigidity of attitude. Avoid bearing pain in the knees. The knee joint is comparatively weak structure, and meditators can damage their knees by sitting through the pain. Although the mind may be able to take this kind of treatment, the knee cannot. The ligaments get torn and do not repair easily. You may need to spend some time practicing complementary body work. This would include exercises to stretch the limbs and strengthen posture. Many people find that few postures of Hatha Yoga are an asset to meditation. Discomfort that is not damaging to the body can be worked within a contemplative manner, using the exercise of massaging as mentioned above. If it is manageable discomfort, contemplate the mental attitude and emotional responses to the pain, and massage those. For instance, we can adopt an aggressive, impatient approach, or go into a self-pitying moan. Can we acknowledge and undo those energies? On the other hand, we may challenge the discomfort with heroic bravura, or the moral imperative to not give in. But we can go deeper than these rather cliched attitudes to arrive at a more serene and responsive awareness of this inevitable aspect of sensory existence. Eventually, we can focus on that awareness itself, and the pain may either fade from attention or become a background. This is not a matter of getting rid of pain, but of awakening an awareness that does not tighten into aversion. The encouragement is to feel the feeling in the feeling. That is to be aware of the phenomena as a thing in its own right, without adding to or covering it. Pain will always find us in the end. We are well advised to learn from it how to go deeper than our customary reactions and responses. Agitation, obsession, and drowsiness. Another normal difficulty is the mind's inability to settle into the body. Even when there is no particular physical discomfort. The common experiences are of either restlessness, thinking over a wide range, obsessive preoccupation in terms of hankering or irritation, or drowsiness. Sometimes the mind oscillates between all three. One of the prime reasons for this may be an energy imbalance. That is, shifting from work or being busy into sitting still causes the mind to stall. This may be an energy imbalance, that is, shifting from work or being busy into sitting still causes the mind to stall. The meditation theme may be too subtle for the mind in its current stage, in its current state to get any traction. Open the eyes and attend to the sensations around the eyeballs. Sweep attention around the head as if you are loosening a headscarf. Do this clearly, gently, and repeatedly. Push your tail into the seat or the floor and slightly stretch the spine upwards from the waist. Giving thorough attention to the posture when you are giving thorough attention to the posture. When you have slowly come to a full stretch, relax and loosen. Practice stretching and loosening for several minutes. In a similar fashion, contract and open your hands and soles of the feet. Control the breathing for a few minutes. That is, take a slow out breath, and when there is no breath in the body, hold that for around 15 to 20 seconds, or the time that it takes for a discernible but manageable pressure to build up in the abdomen. Hold that for that amount of time. Then draw the breath slowly and steadily in through the nostrils. Allow a few normal breaths and then repeat the exercise, say around 10 times. Practice standing for a few minutes. Instructions for dealing with intrusive thoughts are to be found later in this part of the book under Process, Thinking, Emotion and Non-Thinking. More instructions on dealing with hindrances such as ill will, sense desire, dullness, restlessness and doubt can be found under Process, the Hindrances. If this form doesn't help you, if at times this all sounds like too much, just spending 15 minutes or so sitting in a quiet place, taking in the silence and letting one's thoughts and moods flow through may be a good place to start. Just get used to being present with yourself in a friendly and ordinary way. So use the opening meditation as a basic starter. There may be times when you will want to develop the practice further with more detailed attention to the posture. And it's also the case that posture will tend to develop by itself over a period of months and years if you cultivate a friendly interest in being present with yourself. Further, breathing. This practice leads naturally into mindfulness of breathing, which is discussed more fully later. Aligning energy. Through correctly aligning the spine and bringing mindful awareness to the entire body, you can release the various blockages in the head, shoulders, and abdomen. This is through tuning it to energy currents in the body. The body is energetic. That is, you can sense pressures and flushes and warmth moving around the body when you sit still. Try to widen your focus to include all of them, and keeping a sense of openness, let them adjust themselves. When you meditate for a while in this way, you may even begin to feel a subtle flow within this structural alignment, a current of subtle energy that flows from the tail of the body to the crown of the head. As your structure finds its balance, Try to attune to these points at either end of the spinal axis. This energy will inform the posture in a self-supportive way. Rather than you having to hold up the body correctly aligned structures and energy balance will nourish rather than you having to hold the body up. The body's correctly aligned structures and energy balance will nourish and maintain the posture. There is also a current that helps to drain tension and hyperactivity in the head. This flow moves down from the temples, forehead, and eyes, down through the neck and throat, and the center of the chest, dropping past the navel into a point a palm's width above the pubis. That is the place in the lower abdomen where the muscular activity associated with the full exhalation comes to a standstill. To diffuse through the base of the body. It may be easier at first to use the relaxed state of the arms as a pathway for this current, sweeping awareness down from the head, through the arms, and into the palms. The overall energetic sense carries a range of currents and sensations, but rather than resist sensations or try to find a specific one, keep referring to that sense along these channels. Let energy move around and settle. Settling can be helped by tuning into the energy that accompanies breathing. This will compose and brighten the effective bodily sense, and in accordance with that, the mind and its attention will settle. Apply your intelligence to investigating the experience of the body, of how changeable it is. Acknowledge and try to distinguish different levels of experience, the sensation or contact impressions, the feelings or pleasurable, neutral, and painful, and the perceptions or the interpretations of the sensations, which can build up the impression of an inner body. To feel fully settled requires an awareness of both this inner core and of a space around the body that we feel settled in. So, when you have an overall sense of the body, try to discern the inner core of the body as distinct from the more peripheral and surface aspects of it. The core can be a place of great calm, but it also registers the tension, numbness, or aliveness of the whole bodily system. To work on easing and brightening here will have deep significance for one's general state of being. However, the periphery is also important, as it is here where we carry the effects of shielding ourselves from the outside world. However, the periphery is also important, as it is here where we carry the effects of shielding ourselves from the outside body. And if this body sense is contracted, it's likely that the attention will get drawn into intense or dull states. So, practice drawing your attention, your awareness, slowly in and out from the cause to the periphery, from the abdomen and center of the chest, out to the space immediately around you. You can also use the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet as gateways for breath energy. Attuning to the breath rhythm in this fully embodied way regulates the energy and enriches the effect of breathing. This has an overall balancing and healing effect. Standing meditation. In this practice, we work towards establishing a line of awareness and energy that can run from the soles of the feet up through the legs and spinal axis and crown of the head. Bad postural habits such as leaning and slouching cut this line so that the body feels segmented. With poor posture, the upper body leans on top of the lower body and the head occupies a very different realm from the rest of the body. For much of the time, it may feel divorced from the torso. The average person may live a lot of the time in her head, which is impacted by the powerful input of sensory phenomena and turbocharged thought process. So the tension and strain that the head is under can feel normal. And since this part of the body and the functions associated with it are so central, as we get used to stress, it even becomes part of who we are. The aim of standing meditation is to change all that and get reconnected, to link everything up so that we arrive at a sense of wholeness and balance. The skill of the practice is in standing upright and balanced, but not rigid. The effect is of being almost weightless yet grounded. In this state, with the eyes open, one still feels less impacted by sensory phenomena. The mind is quieter and one feels more fully here. Stand with the legs slightly apart and coming straight down from your hips, and have your feet pointing straight ahead, approximately parallel. Unlock your knees so that there is springiness there. Let them be slightly bent. Focus on the soles of the feet. Spread your feet over the ground so that as much as possible of those soles of your feet are making contact with the ground. Your feet and toes should feel that they can sink into the ground, so that you are like a tree or a plant growing out of the earth, rather than something perched on top of it. Get the idea in your head and let your body follow that idea. It's as if your feet are sprouting roots. With the knees unlocked, the weight of your body will be carried by your feet. Any locking in the knees will cause them to take some of the weight and cut the flow of energy between your feet and the upper body. So remember to let the knees be loose. Then the soles of your feet will be clearly and evenly sensed. Another place that tends to lock is around the hips, the buttocks and the sacrum, because of the habit of leaning. When we lean on a table or a wall, for example, generally the upper part of the body rests on the hips, buttocks, and one elbow, which is propped on the surface that it is leaning on. Everything below that waist just hangs, maybe half supported on one leg. The sacrum and lumbar regions are twisted out of true, and yet have to The sacrum and lumbar regions are twisted out of true and yet have to take the weight of the upper body. So they have to lock up to provide the rigid base. If this way of standing becomes habitual, the lock becomes chronic and we lose the ability to stand on our own 2 feet. In standing meditation, try to relax everything around the hips, the pelvic region, the buttocks, and the sacrum. The way to bring this about is to drop your spine. Imagine your spine extends so that you have a tail that is tucked down between your legs. With this posture, the tailbone is tucked in instead of being slightly arched back and locked. With this posture, the tailbone is tucked in instead of being slightly arched back and locking the sacrum from below. The sacrum then rests down and the joint between the last lumbar vertebra and sacrum opens. In this position, the buttocks are relaxed so the weight descends through the legs. You may find that when you do that, there is a shift of gravity forward into the lower abdomen. You will feel slightly stronger there. Relax the abdomen so it is not being held. And yet there needs to be a firmness there. Not a tightness, but a firmness. Relaxing in the perineum also relieves the tension in the lower abdomen. The bony mass of the pelvic girdle then acts like a cradle for the soft tissue, and any abdominal tension can release. Also, unlock the shoulders. It can be helpful to swivel your shoulders around, to swing your arms a bit by means of a gentle movement from the lower abdomen rather than from your head and your shoulders. Swing a little from side to side until the shoulders feel loose. There is no effect in the upper body, and the relaxation of the chest and shoulders lets the arms hang free, slightly away from the sides of the body. Without moving anything, let the back relax downwards as if you were slipping a cloak from your shoulders. Let the neck be upright and the head free, as in the sitting exercise. Relax the jaw and let the tongue be at rest. Stand with your eyes in the open, distant gaze. Let the focus be soft. Be aware of standing, supported by the ground and open to the sky above. There is nothing pressing on your back. The forward direction is free and clear. The space around you supports you. As the body comes into wholeness, attune to the breathing in the abdomen. Let this even rhythm check any tendency to tighten up. This posture feels unusual at first. The thighs have to get used to carrying weight, and they will tend to try to lock the knees and send the weight into the pelvis by tightening the buttocks. This tendency can be counteracted by keeping these areas soft and aligning the knees over the center of the foot. This widens the arc of the legs, sending the weight down the stronger outer edges of the thighs. The shoulders will tend to tighten up to lift the weight. Even the neck and the jaw want to contribute. Carrying the body through the legs may feel uncomfortable at first, but the wholeness of the body impression and the release of the subtle tension make it well worthwhile. Keep focusing on the breath. In time, the legs will straighten. Going back to the soles of the feet, those zones of sensation, contemplate the pressure there. Where are the strong points? Where do you feel the most pressure? Is it towards the front, the sides, or the back? Is the body tending to balance more towards the toe or the heels? Let yourself sway a little until you can feel that pressure zone shift around in your feet. It's probably on one side of your foot. As you contemplate the shifting of the pressure zone, try to make the pressure zone the center of each foot, immediately around the underarch of the feet. Focus on the sensations in that underarch. You will become able to discern a stirring of energy in those underarches. When you can, acknowledge that point and get familiar with it. In the course of the practice, those 2 points become an important focus. When the body stands aligned and balanced directly above those points, the posture will feel effortless and regenerative. Gradually bring your attention from those points up through the lower legs and the upper legs and into the central pelvic abdominal region. Breathe steadily into the lower abdomen. As you do so, you may sense a tingle flush through the upper body. Extend your awareness of breathing to incline all that. Let the breath in, drawing that subtle energy up the upper body. Breathe out, relaxing down through the upper body, down to the abdomen, down through the legs, and down into the floor. Alternatively, breathe out into the space around you and let your body open into that space. Breathe in, drawing awareness up through the feet, the legs, and the abdomen. Breathe out in the reverse direction. Thus, we have the rhythmic flow of the breathing and the direction of awareness following the same pathway. As they combine, you may sense their energies merging. This is the subtle breath, which I'll refer to as the breath energy. If you don't sense this, continue standing anyway, focusing on keeping the body from locking up. Stand for 10 minutes or so at first, increasing the time in accordance with your capacities. Agitation and tension will tend to come in waves and bring up corresponding emotions. Use the breath to back up the practice. Every time you breathe through a wave of agitation, the body becomes more whole and energized, and awareness gains a deeper gravity. Empty the struggle into the body. Empty the body into the space. Eventually, you can stand with the strength and flexibility of a tree. Difficulties. Here, drowsiness is not going to be a problem, and it's unlikely that the mind will wander far. These are some of the advantages of standing meditation. Instead, the hindrance that is magnified is agitation and its corresponding tension, which mount quite an assault on the standing posture. But the above exercise is a physical means of releasing these, so allocate a time and stick to it, flexing your knees slightly now and then if you need to. If you feel strained, resume sitting meditation or move into walking. If this form doesn't help you, try flexing your knees slowly so that in 10 seconds you move up and down about 5 centimeters. Springing in your knees a little helps to stop the muscles locking. You might also try rotating slowly from the hips in a side-to-side movement in which your abdomen describes an arc through the space in front of it. This movement also turns the shoulder blades in an arc through the space behind them, moving while staying connected to the space above. Behind, in front, and below. Relaxes things and unwinds your attention without a loss of composure. In this way, a firm but rested balance can develop. Further, as you come to the end of this period, draw your attention toward the central part of the body, the lower abdomen. That is where you feel the breath beginning and ending. That is where you feel the breath beginning and ending. That is the collection point of energy. Center yourself there. Sense the space around you from this center. Sense what it would be like if this area, rather than the head, were the governor of the entire body. Bring up the intention to sit down. Don't act upon it. Just bring it up into the mind. Relax that thought and notice if your energy has shifted at all. Did you stay in that center, or have you gone up to your shoulders? Bring up that idea again and notice what happens to the pattern of your energy. Consider sitting down. This time, when you consider sitting down, hold the center of your energy in your abdomen, not by tightening anything but keeping awareness centered there, and relaxing any reaching up or contracting in the upper body, shoulders and head. When you feel ready, try to stay there and relaxing the body, take up the sitting position. Walking meditation. Walking meditation helps to refresh the body energy and encourage one's awareness to be wide and flexible. If this is developed, one ongoing result is that one knows how to be still and collected when the body is moving around in a peopled space. Although many people may not have access to the kind of secluded level track that is recommended, Although many people may not have the access to the kind of secluded level track that is recommended for walking meditation, it is still advisable to cultivate this as best one can in a room, say by circumambulating it in a wide circle. A welcome alternative is a quiet place in a wood, park, or beach. Otherwise, by considering the instructions carefully, you may be able to bring aspects of attitude and focus when you are just quietly strolling, or even moving along a busy street. As walking is one of the things that the body needs, why not use it to develop skills of awareness? The skill of this practice is to stay centered while the body is both moving and aware of its immediate environment. The recommended setup is a straight path of 20 to 30 paces in a secluded place, along which one can pace mindfully to and fro. When you reach the other end of the path, you stand still for a few moments, turn around, and repeat the exercise. Walk at a pace that feels conducive, calm, composed, at ease, or vigorous. As your mind settles in, you'll get a more accurate feel for what is a suitable pace. Begin by composing your attention while standing at one end of your chosen path. Bring yourself into the present moment with standing for half a minute or so. Stand in such a way that you can very clearly feel the soles of your feet spread over the ground and feel rooted to that particular point. Stand and breathe in and breathe out with an awareness centered in the abdomen as it moves with the breathing. Bring up the intention to walk and notice where the attention moves to in the body, and any accompanying attitude or mind state. Bring up the intention to walk and notice where the attention moves to in the body and any accompanying attitude or mind state. Your center may move up into the head and shoulders. So, draw awareness back to the abdomen and relax the upper body. Do this a few times. The mind states may express eagerness to get going, or just the opposite. We may be programming the future half an hour before we really have started. If we involve ourselves with that mind state, it will lead on to distracting thoughts. So, let go of that. Stay present, being mindful of the body. In other words, sustain awareness of the senses and sensations that tell you that you have a body. Let the body govern the posture as you move, attune to what the walking mindfully entails. That is, the weight shifts to one side until it is balanced above one foot, say the left foot. This allows the right leg to swing freely, which it does, dependent on the pelvis arching a few degrees to the left. The forward step is powered both by the pelvic swing and the pressing downwards through the left leg. The length of the stride is determined by the extent of the swing and the downwards pressure. The kind of stride we use in meditation generally places the moving foot somewhere between a half and a complete foot's length in front of the stable foot. The sensations in the lead foot punctuate the movement as the pressure flows from heel to toe and is then released. Let it be released, keeping the ankle light and flexible. Keeping the mobile leg light and relaxed helps to prevent a strutting or tense walking rhythm. Walk naturally. What also occurs in walking is that the upper body, the chest and shoulders tend to swing back and fraction with each forward swing. As the left leg moves forward, the left shoulder moves back a little as a counterbalance. The flexing between the hips and the upper body creates a gentle massage for the abdomen, which supports ease and centering. This centering in the pelvic abdominal region helps your attention to stay centered. If you maintain awareness of the dynamics and the rhythms of walking, a pleasant basis for mindfulness gets established through the pressure and release aspects of how the legs operate and the flexing of the torso. An easeful rhythm gets going that attracts the mind. When you walk, you can gather your arms behind you so that the arms feel long and relaxed, with the backs of the wrist resting on the buttocks and the fingertips of one hand folded over the edge of the other. This posture will keep the shoulders open and remind them to let any tension, any holding down, drain down the arms. If your shoulders feel tense, you could also let your arms hang freely beside your body so that their gentle swinging loosens the shoulders. Walk at a moderate and composed pace. Keep the directives simple. Walk to and fro and keep in touch with or return to bodily sensation. The mind's tendency may be to either go into thinking or to get involved with what you can see. In either case, keep returning to the sensations of the body as you walk up and down. The mind will generally elbow in with comments about related and unrelated topics. So come out of that by sustaining the consideration, how do I know I'm walking? You don't need an answer. It's just a way to get the mind to return to the body and the present moment. You can support this more thoroughly by asking how your chest is or how your shoulders are, attuning to how they are affected by walking. This will feel quite different from how they are affected by thinking. The eyes readily mirror and affect the mind state. So it's important to keep a gaze focused but light, letting one's eyes rest on a point in space slightly downwards, an arm's length to the fore. If you need a more discernible object, you can focus on the path itself, about 3 meters ahead of you. But keep the focus soft, as if one were gazing out over the sea. Notice how the eyes feel if a particular visual object is grabbing your attention, or if a train of thought takes over and an attitude intensifies. Attention and energy run out when the eyes keep looking at this and that. On the other hand, a hard stare can bring around an excessively witful state with a loss of receptivity. So, attune your attention to the tactile experience of the eyes, of these physical organs being receptive but at a rest. Feel the sensations in the tissues around the eyes and relax there. Then your gaze gets soft, but your attention is attuned. When it does that, your mind relaxes without drifting, and you can refer to the eyes as part of the field of physical sensation. Recognize the repetitive pattern of sensations that go with walking. Sensations in the feet, the hips, and the back. Settle into that. In this way, the steady rhythm of walking acts as a reference that you can keep returning to in order to come out of compulsive thinking. Remember that you can stop and collect yourself in the standing position at any time that you seem to be losing touch with the feel and ease of the exercise. If you are becoming agitated or distracted, stop, stand still, and breathe a few deep breaths. Then begin again. Walking mindfully slows the mind's rhythm. Eventually, attention will settle into the physical sensations and the mind becomes calmer. As you start to get comfortable, bring ease to the entire body by opening your awareness to receive what bodily sensations come in. Let that energy of the walking flow over through them. The full establishment of steadiness is when each part of your body knows and is in touch with walking. When your mind settles in that, it won't be thinking or running out. Then, as you attune to how the body feels most comfortable and happy in walking, you will feel a regenerative energy that makes the practice tireless. This is one immediate benefit of walking meditation. Finally, as you sense the still centeredness of that energy, it's not a doing or achieving kind of energy. You can bring the mind to greater stillness by centering on that. This stillness within movement is both a source for peace and also a valuable reference to counteract any random or agitating effects in one's immediate environment. Difficulties on walking meditation. The difficulties are likely to be general agitation that occurs when the mind's preoccupations and wanderings are checked. The resultant agitation will manifest as a restless inability to settle in the body and an attitude of boredom that keeps questioning the purpose and value of walking meditation. Another difficulty is the tendency to go into automatic. One can be standing at one end of the path with eyes pointing at the path ahead and then go stomping towards the end of the path without much awareness of the here and now flow of sensations. Things get robotic and the meditation becomes grim. In either of these cases, pause and stand still for a few moments, breathing and attuning to the whole body again before resuming the walking. Other points to watch out for are: take care that the shoulders don't hunch or the head bent over. These deviations out of the true will create physical tension in the neck and shoulders and bring up tense mental states. At times, it may well be the case that the level of occupation with thoughts and moods is such that you can't stay with the bodily impressions for very long. In that case, please look into the chapter on process, thinking, emotion, and non-thinking. We will also look at other ways of working with the mind in the next main part of the book. If this walking meditation form isn't helpful for you, or as an occasional alternative, develop aimless wandering. Take a walk through a quiet setting, staying in the present moment and acknowledging each sense impression: the air on your face, the warmth of the sun, the sight of a tree, the sound of a bird, etc. As it occurs, let these impressions come and go. Also, allow the inner voices and movements of moods to unfold and pass as if they were part of the landscape. Give up on destinations or even on particular interesting or beautiful things to see. Instead, slow down to be receptive to what each moment brings in terms of any of these senses or the mind. Don't hold to any of it. Let the next moment happen by itself. Beginning with the moment when you decide to walk, feel which parts of the body come alive with that thought. Then relax the thought. Do this a couple of times and then follow the directive to walk. Evaluate how the body feels now in itself and in relationship to the space immediately around you. Bring up the possibility of walking and of just following the direction that feels good. Noticing the bodily and emotional effects, follow that direction with a couple of slow steps. Staying in touch with any interesting or apprehension that arises from any of these sense bases. Maybe it feels too warm or cold, and so move towards where it feels better. Maybe some small detail of what is around you seems to attract your attention. It could be a picture, a cup on a table, or a grain of wood on the door. Recognize that. Relax any intensity around that, and move towards what attracts attention, a step at a time, reflectively. If you feel like standing still for a while, do that. Avoid locking into any of the directives or locking them out. Avoid any written material, TV, radio, etc. Avoid contacting another person. Remember to attune to all the senses, but stay connected to the bodily presence as you move or stand. Further topics on walking meditation. Cultivate awareness of the space through which the body moves. In general terms, mindfulness of the body should allow the body to be natural, and this entails awareness of the immediate space around the body as well. The rest state of the body consciousness is about maintaining balance and receptivity to what the immediate space contains. We lose this when there are too many confusing or threatening experiences in the environment around us. We tend to seal off and dwell in our heads. This experience of disembodiment makes the body clumsy, unbalanced, and unsettled. To feel balance requires sensing a restful space immediately around us. Awareness of space is not of a particular thing, nor is it a mere awareness of space is not of a particular thing, nor is it merely visual. In the tactile sense, it is experienced as an open awareness that we might associate with feeling at home. Walking meditation can help you feel at home wherever you are. So, walk towards the space that's in front of you rather than any particular object. As you move, the space moves with you. It's always there, surrounding you. And then, at a certain point in time, you get to the end of your path. You register that. Stand, turn around, and come back. For more on this, see Walking Through Space in Part 3, Releasing the Body chapter. You can also refine the particulars of the walking, focusing on one part as you move. The sensations in the feet can easily become more refined focus for the walking. But first cultivate the right way of receiving sensations, balancing attention and staying embodied. Then, if you wish to investigate more closely, attune to the rhythmic change of pressures of the feet. You can link each footstep to breathing. For example, take 3 paces on the in-breath, then 3 paces on the out-breath. Or slow it down with, as you breathe in, raise the foot, and as you breathe out, place it on the ground. This pace makes even the span of a moderate room quite adequate for meditation. Reclining meditation. It is helpful to know how to cultivate mindfulness while lying down, so that one goes to sleep in a calm and centered way, or can sustain the practice when, owing to physical limitations, it's not conducive to sit up one position for long periods of time. In the following postures, the deliberate composure of the body counteracts sleepiness or loss of focus, while also helping to bring around some relaxation. There are a couple of reclining postures. The lion posture is one of lying on the right side on a firm surface with the body stretched out straight and one arm resting along its flank, hand open just below the hip joint. The other arm is folded so that the palm of the hand supports the side of the cheek and the jaw. The fingertips touch the temples and the thumb connects to the base of the skull behind the ear. The ear is between the fingers and the thumb. The head is supported by means of a cushion, which should be no thicker than which will fit in the gap between the head, neck and the floor without twisting the neck. Our tendency when lying down is to curl towards a fetal position, which turns down the energy in order to prepare for sleep. So, to counteract dreaminess and loss of focus, the alignment of the body should be straight, and the arm, hand and neck positions carefully maintained. Place the inner edge of one foot directly on top of the corresponding edge of the other foot, so that the joints of the big toes meet. Let one knee rest on top of the other. Positioning the body in this way establishes a line for awareness, and the energy can be maintained at a wakeful level. The energy points in the under arch of each foot and the palms of each hand act as a particular reference point, with one hand being ideally placed to transmit support and warm contact into the head. Otherwise, and especially if there is tension and pain in the back, it is possible to mix relaxation with wakefulness by lying on the back with the soles of the feet flat on the floor and the legs forming an arch. Try to consciously give the body into the floor, attuned to the varying pressures of different zones in the body, distinguishing the bone from the flesh, and any places where the muscles feel tight from the softer tissues. Does each shoulder blade fully rest on the floor? Gently wrap your arms around your chest and loop the fingertips behind the shoulder blades. Then roll slowly from side to side, letting the movement open and relax the shoulders by means of a slight pull through the fingers as the shoulder leaves the floor. Get the buttocks to relax and spread by letting the arch of the legs swing from one side to the other. Ideally, the sacrum and the lumbar vertebrae will rest on the floor. These movements will help the back to relax. Pull your chin towards the throat so that the neck lengthens and rests on the ground. Then relax the chin without loosening the neck alignment. This will help rest the neck muscles. Then let mindful awareness establish a line down the center from the crown of the head to the sacrum. Sense that tail and connect that sense to the sensations and energies in the soles of the feet, centering on the under arch. As you establish that line of reference, add a line across the shoulders. This enables you to monitor the plane of the upper back. Place the hands together, palms down, so that the fingertips connect to a point just below the navel and the thumbs touch a point just above it. This finger-thumb circle could otherwise rest around the sternum or breastbone. In this position, the energy of the palms and the sensitivity of the fingers connect directly to the open front of the body, a calming, intimate touch. This calming will make it easy to feel the breathing as it rhythmically swells and relaxes the abdomen or chest. Let the palms fall towards the spine with each exhalation and then come steadily swelling up with each slow inhalation. You can also counteract the sleep habit by sweeping attention in a systematic loops from the upper body down one leg and back up the other leg into the upper body again. Difficulties on reclining meditation. Falling asleep is the obvious one. Getting lost in thought is the other. These can be counteracted by deliberately thinking of one part of your body at a time, beginning with the foot, for example, and sending all your attention there. After a minute or two, let go of the part, relax it completely, and move up to the next part. Because it allows energy to settle, this practice can also help to resolve insomnia. If one remains awake, one does so in a calm and restful way. And when the system finds that balance, if it needs help, one will go to sleep. Mindfulness of breathing, body. Mindfulness of in and out breathing is the most detailed and progressive meditation instruction given by the Buddha, affirmed by him as being a practice that leads to full awakening. In the sutta in which these teachings are recorded, M 118, the instructions are laid out in 4 groups called tetrads. These tetrads comprise groups of progressive instruction with regard to mindfulness of breathing as it affects and moderates the bodily energies, mental energies, and mental awareness. Mental energies are emotional and physiological. The 4th tetrad has a different approach, as we will see in part 3 of this book. But to begin, if we are going to place attention on the breathing, we'd better be clear what breathing is as an experience. So how do we know we are breathing? Breathing in and out can be sensed through the movement of muscles and the other soft tissues of the abdomen. As well as the widening and lifting of the chest. Breathing can also be sensed through the sensations that the inhalation and exhalation of air makes with the nostrils and throat. Then again, whether we are focused on it or not, we soon get to know about breathing through the presence of, or limitations to, our available energy. If you focus on the experience of energy, it is obvious that the inhalation is different from the exhalation. Breathing in brightens and arouses bodily energy. Breathing out softens and diffuses bodily energy. The body senses the difference. How the body senses itself is called the somatic sense. What the somatic sense senses is the presence of and changes in the inner body of bodily energy. This energy is called bodily activity. In Pali, kaya sankara. It's also referred to as bodily formation, as it's the subtle dynamic form of the inner body. The Buddha referred to this somatic energy as a key to the practice of mindfulness of breathing. Its significance lies in the fact that this energy relates to both the body and the mind. This is when we feel tense. There is an emotional, physiological feel to that, and a bodily, somatic one. Whether we feel happy or at ease, depressed or sleepy, that state has a mental and somatic effect. A meditator can use this relatedness to their advantage, because having access to the somatic effect allows the possibility of witnessing and steadying the mind through sensing the somatic effect and steadying it. This is very much the case with mindfulness of breathing, because the energy that accompanies breathing is the center and moderator of somatic energy. Therefore, just as breathing may become choked, stale, or irregular with difficult mind states, a steady and easeful breath energy will steady and even release those mind states. It is through moderating this somatic energy that mindfulness of breathing leads to states of well-being and composure. It's also the case that the mindfulness that registers the somatic effect does so in a direct rather than a conceptual way. It's as direct and natural as knowing whether you are standing upright or leaning over. So, when one knows the breathing in this way, the activity of thought can quieten down and cease altogether. Yet, still there is the knowing. This mindful knowing doesn't operate in the same way as our customary thought process. It's not agitated, has no aims, opinions, or judgments. Some people call it the silent witness. Still, it gives feedback. We can notice when it disappears under a wave of dullness or agitation and reactivity. And we can sense it in terms of its somatic effect. That is, as the knowing gets established, the body's energies relax and become clearer. Distracted or abstract thinking, on the other hand, creates tension and flurries in the body. The instruction in the first tetrad are that one should be mindful of breathing in and breathing out, that one should train to be mindful of breathing in and breathing out long, of breathing in and breathing out short, of being sensitive to the entire body while breathing in and breathing out. And one should calm the bodily activity while breathing in and breathing out. In this, the Buddha's instructions repeat over and over that one should discern in breathing and out breathing, which is a rhythmic process. Yet, there is no record that he ever specified where in the body one should place one's attention. or that one should even focus on the breath. The instruction is to be aware of breathing in and breathing out. And as he regarded this repetitive process as more significant than a place in the anatomy, then our focus must be on the discernible rhythm that the breathing goes through. So, as we settle into the practice, the first step is to develop the ability to stay with the unforced rhythm and then be calmed and steadied by that. Then, if we access and dwell in the consequent pleasant somatic effect, the mind is cleared of hindrances and brightens. Eventually, when through bringing to mind and evaluating, the mind settles into the body's breathing, two bright states arise to form a steady, pleasant base of awareness. The two bright states are rapture and ease. With further settling these will lead to the level of concentration called absorption, or in Pali, jhana. We'll look into that in part 2 of the book. Give yourself time to set up and then settle into a sitting posture that you can sustain comfortably for a half an hour or more. Sit with the idea that the tailbone can extend down into the ground and take root. Relax your shoulders and draw energy down your back by the simple process of repeatedly and steadily sweeping attention down your spine, through the pelvis and into the ground. As you are doing this, let the front of your body feel free and open. Let each inhalation lift through your abdomen and chest. Don't pull your chest or force the breath. Instead, lift gently through the spine as you are hanging upside down, lengthening your waist and letting your neck be long. Instead, lift gently through the spine as if you are hanging upside down, lengthening your waist and letting your neck be long. Tuck in the spine between the lower edge of each shoulder blade as if it were connected to the breastbone. How do you know you're breathing? How do you know you are breathing? Feel the fullness of the breathing when the upper body is open, how the diaphragm moves steadily, how the chest rises and falls with the breathing, and how the overall effect is vitalizing. This effect is due to the energy of unhindered breathing. Stay with that in an appreciative way. Focus on the steady flow of inhalations and exhalations and let your attention move around. Familiarizing itself with how the body is affected by breathing. You may find it helpful to deliberately extend each out-breath and in-breath a little or 5. You may find it helpful to deliberately extend each out-breath and in-breath a little for 5 or 6 breaths, so that the sensations associated with the endings of the breath are made stronger. You may find it helpful to deliberately extend each out-breath and in-breath a little for 5 or 6 breaths, so that the sensations associated with the endings of the breath are made stronger and the pause between the breaths is clearly discerned. Do this in a gradual and relaxed way. Relax into those pauses between the breaths, letting yourself enjoy the fullness of an unforced inhalation. Letting yourself enjoy the fullness of an unforced inhalation and the release of a slow and restful exhalation. Make the practice one of letting the system fully ventilate. Give it time to clear out any staleness, letting your out-breath drop down through the belly like a deep sigh. Let your in-breath open your body into the space around you. This is breathing long. Let the breathing find its own rhythm and extension. It may be quite irregular at first. Notice how the breathing affects the mind and heart, and as moods and mental energies come up, how they affect the breathing. Cool the reactions and let things come out in the wash. Let ideas and feelings be like wind-blown leaves. Cool the reactions and let things come out in the wash. Let ideas and feelings be like wind-blown leaves. Don't follow them. Let them go. Be spacious. Make a practice of being spacious and returning to the rhythmic flow of breathing. Incline to settling. You can help this by waiting for the breath, that is, at the end of the out-breath. Just wait for the in-breath to begin of its own accord. Incline to settling. You can help this by waiting for the breath. That is, at the end of the out-breath, just wait for the in-breath to begin of its own accord. This should take a few seconds. Similarly, wait at the end of each inhalation. If the body begins breathing in or out without a pause, the system is not yet relaxed and settled. You may benefit from a more relaxed and trusting attitude, or from moving your attention around your body, checking in with its steady structure and the open, non-intrusive space around you. Then work towards relaxing the chest completely so that the muscles of the abdomen operate the breathing. You may need to deliberately and gently swell out your abdomen for an in-breath until the system gets used to the abdominal breathing. When you notice that your attention has drifted or leapt off, wait in the acknowledgement of that moment. Don't react. Just give the mind a moment to fully note the feel of that drift or spin and the feel of the clear acknowledgement. Then, as you feel clarity, return. Ask yourself, where is my breathing right now? In this way, you bring the breathing to your mind. Wait for the next exhalation, and as it comes, breathe out the agitated or constricted energy of the hindrance. If you feel sleepy or low in energy, wait for the in-breath and meet that, letting go of the dullness. Then wait for the next inhalation and be with that. The mind will get agitated from time to time, but make the practice one of relating to the busy or wandering mind with sympathy, rather than control the mind, or follow or speculate over its mood. Keep patiently returning to the breathing with, where is the breathing right now? Wait for it, meet it, and relax with the out-breath. Let the breathing moderate the mind. When things settle down into a more regular pattern, your attention may center on a particular point in your body. The back of the nasal passage, the throat, chest, or diaphragm, for example. Rather than force the mind to one point, let it settle where it feels more comfortable. or if it seems to settle in an overall awareness of the upper body, let it do that. The breath is quieter, but not because it's restricted. It's just that when the body is ventilated and relaxed, it tends to shorten. As you get more settled, attend to what happens regularly with each breath. Increase the evaluation with a silent question. How is the breathing now? How is the breathing now? First, notice the rhythmic sensation of the physical form. Most obviously, the swelling and subsiding in the abdomen and diaphragm. Second, be aware of sensations associated with the air striking the respiratory tract in the nose or throat. Third, note the regular shift of energy through the alteration in your body's general tone, how it brightens and sharpens with each inhalation. Then relaxes and diffuses with each exhalation. Let your mind feel the rhythm of all these, attuned to the senses of being breathed. If you find yourself settling in this rhythm, attend to the play and interaction of all aspects of the breathing process. Notice and give attention to the overall effects on your mind, whether you feel clear or sleepy, present or distant, relaxed or nervous, for example. Then notice and feel out the effects on the entire body and how you sense your body. Most likely, your senses of your body will include physical sensations and also tingles and flushes of its somatic energies. You may even discern gentle tingling effects in places that seem removed from the breathing process, such as the palms of your hands, the flesh around the eyes and temples. As you settle into relaxing the chest and centering in the abdomen, see how much breath your body needs. Sometimes, as a nervous habit, we overbreathe. Try taking little less breath on the inhalation and slowing it down. Do so without force, but with the suggestion, why don't I just relax a little more? Do so without force, but with the suggestion, why don't I just relax a little more? How much do I really need right now? Imagine the breath to be like a fine strand of silk passing through the body, and keep relaxing into the calm. If the changes that you experience give rise to a sense of getting somewhere, relax that sense and just be with the breathing a moment at a time. When the breathing does calm and become centered, its energy will feel bright and steady. This may take several sessions, so be patient and let the system learn at its own rate. The material aspect of the breathing, the sensation of the air and the movement of the diaphragm will tend to fade out, leaving just a bright somatic energy. Let this breath energy flow through and suffuse your entire body sense. Imagine the whole field of the inner body with its nerves like capillaries, quietly flushing with breath. Focus on the mixture of mental brightness and subtle bodily sensation, letting go of any wavering or flurries that may occur. Enjoy. Notice how the experience of the body has changed. How is it now? When it's time to come out of the meditation, do so in a graduated and a centered way. First of all, connect to the physical aspects of breathing, the airflow, and the subtle movements of the body. Then take some time to feel into the bony structures of the body, with the softer tissues wrapped around them. Connect to the ground by focusing on the upright spinal axis. Notice how the experience of the body has changed. After a minute or so, open to the space so you are sitting in by listening to the sounds and the silence around you. Then, as you feel ready, slowly opening your eyes and letting light and external form enter your awareness. Even now, don't jump out into seeing. Rather, let forms introduce themselves to you, to your awareness, until you feel ready to meet and address them. Difficulties in mindfulness of breathing in the body. Difficulties. If you find it difficult to stay with feeling your body, try using various forms of thought to give you a bodily focus. For example, silently intone a number in sequence from 1 to 10 at the ending of each exhalation. For example, silently intone a number in sequence from 1 to 10 at the ending of each exhalation, and then do so same in reverse, returning to 1 again. If you forget which number you're on, return to 1 and continue as before. Another method is to silently intone the word Buddho, Bud, on each in-breath and Do in each out-breath. This may work even better if your eyes are slightly open. You can also try imagining what the breath feels like. What would it look like? This may help to open up a more attuned receptivity in the mind. In any prolonged period of meditation, there is often the difficulty of discomfort and pain. The advice is a simple rule of thumb with what is bearable and manageable. Keep massaging around and through the sensation with awareness, as outlined before. The possibility that this breath meditation offers to relax the somatic energy so that it doesn't contract around unpleasant feeling. The possibility that this breath meditation offers is to relax the somatic energy so that it doesn't contract around unpleasant feeling. It is this somatic contraction, as if the body is trying to pull away from the unpleasant sensation, that triggers emotional and physiological suffering. If there is no contraction, there is unpleasant feeling, but no suffering. As the practice develops over months or years, a lot of physical discomfort will be eradicated by suffusing the body with rapture and ease. Some discomfort is caused by trying too hard. Tension arises if we support the idea, even unconsciously, of getting somewhere or attaining some state. The mind also gets tense if we have approached the breathing with an attitude of concentrating on the breath. This may sound counterintuitive. Surely, we are supposed to be concentrating on the breath. But the Buddha's approach is one of sensing and knowing the breathing. As we do that and get comfortable with that, the mind settles down. Then as it gets really settled and happy, which does take time, it comes to the one-pointedness in that comfort. This is what is meant by concentration or samadhi. It's a result, a state. rather than an activity. The emphasis therefore has to be on regulating the energy by tuning in to the whole breath, especially including the pauses. It's in these that dissonant energies intrude. Then you keep connecting the mind to the breathing by bringing the breathing to mind and evaluating it. Remember, one aspect of the one-pointedness is that of attitude, to be just with the breathing, sampling it and sensing it in a reflective way. Unsteadiness of energy can be remedied by adjusting the breath energy. This is particularly for cases where the energy drops too radically with the out-breath and causes a drop in attention, or rises too vigorously with the in-breath and causes over-intensity. You can lengthen the pauses as described earlier. Also, there is a more subtle way. If you contemplate the energy that accompanies the respiration, you'll notice that it normally descends on the out-breath and ascends on the in-breath. The imbalances can be remedied by reversing the energy pattern. You can do this by developing attention and perception in particular ways. That is, on breathing out, establish the perception of speaking out loud, or of chanting or singing. This sends energy upwards through the chest. With the in-breath, establish the perception of drinking the air in, right down through the pit of the stomach. If you can, imagine it descending through the body to the tailbones, with the body opening up as it takes in the air. As an added touch, try this while standing up. If this form doesn't help you, use the exercises on the 4 postures, sitting, standing, walking, and reclining, to develop the mind. Breathing is always happening, but maybe there are other things that are more accessible to your mental state at this time. Also have a look at the instructions on sublime states and deep attention and investigation for a change of focus. Further, in this exercise, changes in the mental landscape may become apparent. Therefore, may be an increasing degree of calm and composure, which is accompanied by stepping back from physical sensations and relaxing into the somatic energy. This brings around an inner brightness and pleasure called rapture, piti, and ease, sukha. With this inner brightening, the mind begins to feel like it is participating in, rather than merely observing, the process. It feels held in or floating in the breath energy, and there is a sense of buoyancy. Mental activity, especially thinking, quiets down. However, you may also feel some unsteadiness. The unsteadiness, like the uplift, has an emotive resonance. The uplift is joyful. The unsteadiness is a mixture of excitement and nervousness. It may unsettle the attention and cause it to move or drift away from the breath into associated imagery or moods. Accordingly, notice and sustain the formed impression that the energy takes. Accordingly, notice and sustain the formed impression that the energy takes. A subtle body within the flesh and bones body. That is, the pattern of your breath energy tracks and maps out lines and systems of subtle energy. So just as if you were looking at a picture of the skeletal or nervous system, study the picture that the breath energy forms. Give this attention rather than the emotion or mood. If things still feel too highly charged, widen your span of awareness and soften your focus. Widen into the space around you. If the energy is coming in waves, attend to its relaxing aspect rather than its heightening aspect. It may be the case that a subtle impression, like light or warmth, appears in the mind. Steadily receiving this impression rather than sizing it or glaring into it also supports settling the energy. Eventually, the mind will experience more ease than rapture. In subsequent exercises, we'll look at how mindfulness of breathing can moderate mental and emotional energy.